Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this pair of subscriber replays. And this video is going to have very much an auto-loady feel to it. So we are kicking off proceedings with Bionic Tree. We've seen one or two of his videos before, or we've seen one or two of his replays before, but not in a little while. And this is from a tank I don't think I've showcased yet. This is the Czechoslovakian Tier 6 medium tank, the Skoda T25. Not to be confused with the German Tier 5 premium medium tank, the Panzer T25, despite the fact that historically they're the same machine. Now, the Skoda Tier 6 medium tank, as I mentioned, gets an auto-loading 75mm gun. So the penetration and damage on the gun don't look particularly impressive, but you have to bear in mind that you get 3 shots into your opponents in quick succession, as Bionic just showcased there, with pretty good gun depression to boot. Now, Bionic actually said in the replay, in the message that he sent me, that when he was playing this game in his Skoda, nice blind shot there, his Skoda is not fully upgraded. So he's got the top gun, but he's missing, I think it was some things like the top engine and various bits and pieces like that. So this is not the fully upgraded tank. And at Tier 6, an autoloader is kind of a novelty, and this tank seems to play a little bit like a better Tier 6 Chi-Ri. You've still got, I believe, decent gun depression. You've got this little 3-round autoloader that reloads relatively quickly. Goodbye, there's the second Hetzer. But the tank is just more mobile overall and isn't quite the size of a small European country. So you're not going to get hit by absolutely everything. The armor's still pretty terrible. But it's a medium tank, generally speaking. You don't expect fantastic armor. So far from this position, Bionic has managed to pick up 2 kills on some Hetzers, and he's now working over an M3 Lee. Can he pick up the kill on this fellow? It looks a little bit dicey. No, someone else picks it up instead, so he reloads to get rid of that last shot in his magazine. Of course, as fate would have it, as soon as he does so, another guy pops up to shoot at, but never mind. Should of course mention this is on the Cliff map, and this is a Tier 6 match, so in this game, Bionic is top tier. So the relatively low penetration on the Skoda doesn't matter too much. Now I say relatively low penetration because at 132 it is toward the bottom end of the penetration for Tier 6 medium tanks, but it's not at the bottom. The American 76mm guns that you find on the Shermans and the 57 and 76mm guns found on the A43, and indeed the 88mm gun found on the Type 58 all have lower penetration than this machine. So while the penetration on this tank is not fantastic, at Tier 6 I would say it's certainly usable. Obviously when top tier it's not a problem, but even when you are bottom tier, I'd say it's still perfectly usable. Now that was a Tier 5 heavy tank, of course. One shot was bounced off the front of his turret, but the other 2 Bionic managed to put into, I think it was the shoulder plates on the hole there. And he was going to shoot the T34, but if this T1 heavy is going to get in the way, then he'll shoot him instead. Didn't aim the last shot there particularly well and is punished with a bounce. So far 3 kills, and switching fire to the easier target, the T34 here, and there's another 3 shots in, and you can see that with this 3-round autoloader that the Skoda gets, the damage really does start to mount up quite quickly. And because it's only 3 shots, the magazine reload time is pretty respectable. There's kill number 4. Although it should be noted throughout the entirety of this that Bionic's team are still losing. There's kill number 5 to finally even the scores. Over 2,000 damage done, which for a Tier 6 machine is rather impressive. Now, if we have a look at the tanks left on both teams, on Bionic's team, we've got himself, the Churchill 1, AT2, Hetzer and T80. And on the enemy team, we've got a KV2, VK3601H, Stug 3G, STVZ39, and the Stug 3B. So relatively even, although, to give credit where credit's due, that little Czechoslovakian tank took a lot of health off of Bionic before he died. In fact, I think he's the only guy to have done any damage to Bionic so far. Another Czechoslovakian tank, lower tier this time, that gets a little autoloader on it. And oh god, there's a Stug. He'll probably take some damage for this. He should pick up the kill. There we go. There's the Top Gun. Only got 178 health left, however, so he can be readily killed by most of these guys, and the KV2 just needs to sneeze in his general direction, and that would be bad. But focusing his fire on the Stug, which I think is the correct thing to do, just to try and pick up the kill on that guy. Tries to put a shot into the KV2, but alas, is not successful. Focusing on the Stug just took his gun out of the game. VK is looking this way, which can be a problem. We don't know if the VK is using the 75 or the 88mm gun. If he's using the 88, then Bionic is a one-shot for that fellow. So Bionic's magazine is reloaded. He's going for some shots on this KV2. Real shame there. First shot missed, third shot bounced, denying him the kill on that fellow. Bit unlucky there. Still got this VK in the KV, never mind. Churchill nails the KV2. There's still this VK around here. Somewhere, there he is. There we go. And the VK is using the short 88. So he was able to kill Bionic, and unfortunately deprive Bionic of what would have been a very well-earned Radley Walters medal for 8 kills there. Nonetheless, a really good game, doing the lion's share of damage for his team and keeping his team, well, in the runnings for that game throughout. So let's go and take a look at the post-battle results. So here we go. Perhaps unsurprisingly, that was an ace tanker for Bionic. Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, High Caliber, and Top Gun awards to go with it. 2,637 damage done, which for a tier 6 tank is a lot. 7 kills, 1,460 base experience. As I said, unfortunately, he didn't quite manage to pick up the Radley Walters medal there, but still a really, really nice result and a very hard carry for his team. 39 shots fired, 32 hits, 28 penetrations for that damage count. 8 hits received, none of which bounced, which is the sort of thing you can expect from the armor of this thing. Even on the German T25 at tier 5, the armor doesn't generally bounce much. 4 enemy vehicles spotted, 12 damage. There were only 3 tanks on the enemy team that Bionic did not put a shot into. 7 killed, 623 assistance damage, and with a premium account he made a 41,000 credit profit. Even with a standard account it still would have been a 24,500 credit profit. That 1,460 base XP became 2,190 with the premium account and some free XP on top. So really nice result there from Bionic in his Skoda T25. Moving on to our second game then, this is another machine I don't think I've shown any gameplay from on this channel before. This is the American Tier 8 auto-loading medium tank, the T69. This is on the line that ultimately culminates in the T57 Heavy. Driven for us today by Pansy. You may have seen Pansy in a couple of the other videos that I have shown. Usually games sent in by from Pansy are pretty good to watch. Now this is a tier 9 game, so Pansy is not top tier, but there's only one tier 9 per side, so the matchmaking could be worse. And we are here on Airfield, struggling to think of the name of the map for a moment. So in common with a lot of other machines at tier 8, or medium tanks at tier 8 in particular, the T69 packs a 90mm gun. However, less in common with them, it gets a 4-round autoloader to go with. I mentioned this video was going to be very much about the autoloaders, so that shouldn't come as a massive surprise. 240 average damage per shot, 4 rounds in the magazine, that gives him a clip potential of 960. So when we look at tier 8 autoloaders, that's not quite as high as the obscene 1800 damage you can squeeze out of the AMX 5100 French tier 8 heavy tank. However, the T69 does get fairly respectable gun depression, and armour that, while not reliable, it can bounce a shot here and there, and of course gets a faster magazine reload than the AMX. However, it also has the lowest penetration of any of the tier 8 medium tanks, I believe, at, I think it's about 170, if memory serves. No, I'll find out in a sec. Oh, come on. Oh, 181. I'm wondering if the penetration on this tank has been buffed since I last paid it any attention. I remember the penetration on this gun being down around the 170 mark. Apparently it's now 181. But let's be honest, that's still not very good, and still makes it a very strong contender for worst penetration on a tier 8 medium tank. Also, the gun can be a little bit derpy, so you really do want to be flanking people with this tank where you possibly can. You do have the option of loading heat ammunition, in which case your penetration jumps up to 250, so that is always an option. But with the slightly derpy nature of the gun, it can still be a bit awkward, and there you can see, for example, Pansy lets that shot aim, and his shot does hit. It does manage to kill the ISU, but he does also lose half his health in the process. Says in chat that snapshot, though, in a sense, yes, the guy can't have been fully aimed, given how long he was aiming for. However, he did have a little bit of aiming time, and, well, there we go. That's life. Nonetheless, Pansy has put some damage down range so far and managed to take out quite a valuable target. That ISU-152 has a very scary gun, and so killing them is always something I think is a good thing to do. Finds his counterpart on the enemy team, the enemy T69, puts some shots into him and tries for one into the Super Pershing, but doesn't quite manage to make it work. And the gun depression on this tank just makes it look a lot more flexible than the AMX 5100, which is making me wonder if I would prefer it to the 5100, because the thing with the 5100 is you've got that 50-second reload to get through, which can be quite tiresome. And added onto that, you then have the pretty woeful gun aiming stats and the dodgy gun depression. Now, the gun aiming stats on the T69 are not good by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not AMX 5100 bad. And when you add to that, oh, let's not get shot by the Super Pershing. When you add to that the better gun depression, I think it might be a tank that I find a little bit more comfortable than the French machine. Having said that, a lot of those shots were flubbed by Pansy, and not really any fault of his. He didn't have the time to sit there and aim at the Super Pershing's weak spot. So he's just reloading his magazine and pondering what he's going to do with it. Object 416 has popped up again. Friendly Super Pershing is going for the enemy Super Pershing while the enemy is distracted. Pansy's waiting for that reload. There we go. One shot, two shots. Takes out the enemy Super Pershing, but not before he kills the friendly Super Pershing. And there's an Object 416, and he has an STA frame with him. So, Pansy puts two shots into that fellow and backs the hell off. Now, he does have the clip damage to kill either the STA or the Object 416 on his own, but not both, and there's a T54 coming up behind him. Well, I say coming up behind him, it looks like the T54, well, I would say is making a run for artillery, but there isn't any artillery in this match, so I don't know what he's doing. There we go, 416, tracks him with the third shot, kills him with the fourth, and puts one round into the STA as well, but gets ammo racked for his trouble, and there's the armor on the T69, actually managed to pick up a bounce. Does lose his ammo rack in the process by the look of it, but Pansy is not repairing the ammo rack, which is an interesting choice of thing to do. Now, with an autoloader, often you might decide not to repair the ammo rack if you're reloading. If you're not reloading, you don't immediately need it. But when you are reloading, it's usually a good idea to not have that damaged ammo rack. And indeed, he does repair it, it just takes a little longer. And here is a T54. Now, T54 versus about 180 penetration frontally, that's not going to work. But Pansy does have an IS-3 buddy here to help him out. So there is that. It would take the T54 on average 2 shots to kill Pansy, so he does have a little bit of health to play with. And the IS-3s and the Jagdpanther 2 can reliably one-shot Pansy anyway. So in a sense, Pansy has got about 320 health to trade away and still survive at some point with this T54 if he wants to, and not really suffer any detriment for it. T54, however, appears to have bugged out, and so Pansy and the IS-3 are going hunting for him, but so far, not found him. There he is, and side shots. Puts in a couple of rounds to that T54, but really needs the IS-3 to put some damage in as well. Takes that 100mm shell from the T54, and so now Pansy could die to this guy, but now if he can get side shots, which is a little awkward. There we go, there's one, and the IS-3 kills the guy with the ram. And there we go, the T54 is down, and Pansy is now loading his first bunch of heat rounds, not because he particularly needs them, but because he's down to armor piercing. In fact, actually, I imagine a lot of T69 drivers would have loaded a clip of heat ammo long before now, because against things like the IS-3 and the T54, penetrating them frontally with your armor piercing rounds is going to be, let's say, problematic in the least. But Pansy has decided not to do that, which, given that he's a dinger, I think is terribly disappointing. But then I'll let him off. I remember a previous game where he'd accidentally loaded premium ammunition and was unloading his premium ammo into people's bums because, well, it was there, it was loaded, and he couldn't be bothered to press the button to load regular ammunition again. So I guess that does qualify him as a proper dinger. So what are you going to do? Now, heat ammunition against an IS-3 can be really rather dodgy. The front of the IS-3, yeah, sure, hit him on that pike nose and you'll probably go through, but against the side, the IS-3 is just, well, it's an IS-3. The sides of it are armoured in pure Soviet finest bullshitanium, and there is so much spaced armour there that they tend to eat heat shells for breakfast. So, this is not necessarily the optimal ammunition type. Having said that, that is the bum of an IS-3 and that is a missing shot, but that one goes straight through the back of the turret of that guy, finishes him off, and that is the game. So, there we go, polished off. Let's go and have a look at the post-battle results. Here we go then, that was enough for, perhaps unsurprisingly, Ace Tanker, along with Bruiser, Fighter, Fire for Effect, and the High Caliber Award. 4,382 damage done, which for a tier 8 medium tank is a lot. 4 kills, 1,405 base experience. And a shout out to the IS-3 driver, by the way, who went around with Pansy to deal with that T-54. Either one of them on their own would have struggled, but together they managed to nail the guy. 30 shots fired, 23 hits, 20 penetrations. For that damage count, most of which was from relatively close range, which is the sort of thing I think you can expect from the T69. The gun is not exactly a sniper rifle. Actually managed to block 810 damage with his armor. You can get some bounces with the T69's armor there. And damaged 8 enemy tanks, killed 4 of them. A little bit of assistance damage into the bargain, and despite having to fire a couple of heat rounds at the end because he ran out of regular ammo, Pansy still made an 8,000 credit profit with a standard account. With a premium account, that would have been a 26,000 credit profit, and nice amount of experience into the bargain. So a really nice game, all told, and I hope you guys enjoyed that pair of autoloader games. Always fun to see a little bit of auto-loading action, and usually, although I was disappointed we didn't see it in either of these games, but usually there's a little bit of butthurt rage chat from the enemy team, though of course as of patch 9.16 you don't get to see that anymore, which makes part of me sad. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed those games. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.